Hello friends, you're welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick, as you know, and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at setting out administrator dashboard in our employee management system, in which we are using WebAssembly and NET 8 Web API. If you haven't watched the previous videos, please check the video description. I have them listed in order, so you can just watch from first one up to the last one. In the previous video, we were able to consume our reference token and JWT authentication in our client assembly, and that is a Blazor WebAssembly. So as I speak now, this application supports a reference token and also JWT authentication. Aside from this, we need to design or create the administrator dashboard. Now, this dashboard is going to help the administrator to add employees and also to manage users as well. So in order to do that, there are some few things that we need to do. But first, let's talk about them. Before I move on, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then there is the time for you to do that. Please do subscribe and also hit on that notification bell so you never miss out any of our upcoming content from this channel. If you want to also support an extra go far, you can also buy me a coffee, a hot one as well. And you can do that from a link in the video description. When this video ends and you're happy, you're okay with this, you've learned something new, please don't forget to click on the like button. It actually helps this channel to also grow. Alright, so in our application that we are creating, you can see there is a client section that we have opening on the screen. We have just a login and log out, and I can just click on this login. Now, when I log out I go to the same home page. That is not the best. This is an employee management system. So before you have access to even the home page as you see here, you must be an authenticated user. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to extract the login and the register into 8 layouts. And now a user is going to authenticate himself before the person gets access to the home page or the front page that you see. And aside from that, I'm going to have another page which is going to authenticate the user. Maybe if I've registered already, whereby I have my token and a reference token stored in the client library. That is it client library or the local storage? Yeah, local storage. So if I have my token and reference token I've stored in there, as soon as I open a large application, so far as the token hasn't expired, it has to give me the access straight to the home page, but it shouldn't send me to the login page. We're also going to handle that as well. Okay, so let's do these things, then we see the way forward. Okay, so I'm going to close this and let's go back to our application. This is where we stopped the other time. So defaultly, this application, all the components are using one layout, and that is the admin layout. So when you check the Solution Explorer, you go to the client. So that's the WebAssembly. And now when you check the pages and check a folder name as layout, you can see we have this main layout. And that is the layout that each and every component is using. And that is where you can see we have this logout and login and register. We don't want this to happen here. We want to have just a login screen only. You want to have a registration page only on the screen. Before a user gets to the home page, the user must be an authenticated user before he or she can have access to all the other features of our application. So let's extract this out. But first of all, in order to do that, we have to create a layout first. So let's create a layout, and now I'm going to name it as authentication layout. Well, you can choose your own style, okay? So maybe you can name it a name of your choice, but for me, I'm going to name it as authentication layout because it's going to check and authenticate the user, and that is a page that is going to happen or is going to contain authentication component before a person gets access to the other component as well. So that's the reason why I'm giving it the name like that. So we go to the same layout in here, and let's add a new result component. And now with this, as you know, the name already, I do not to have it here. So let me just paste it here. Now let's move on. So that is the authentication layout. So you can just rename with your own one. Now with this layout, this first thing that we're going to do, a layout inherits from the layout component base. So this custom layout must also inherit from the custom component base. So let's first do that. It's very important. Aside from that, you want to have something like container fluid from the just a small bootstrap classes. We have a container fluid and we have the row, and this is a column large 12, meaning you're going to cover the entire page. That's what we have in here. Okay, let's save this. Now this is what I want us to do. I want us to add some image as a background. So I've prepared some images here. I went to the internet and I grabbed some sample images and use some Photoshop to set as a blur, and that's what I'm going to use. All right. So maybe if you are good at that, you can just do same, or maybe at the end of the whole video, I'll put the description, that is the source code at the description too, so you can have a look at that. But you can just grab any image of your choice and use it. So, I downloaded a couple of images in here, and these are some of the images that you're going to be using. Especially this is you're going to be using for the profile picture. As you can see, default profile image. And I'm using this as a BG. So this is the image. I'm making a copy of it, and now that is it. So with this, I made it blur. So this is blur image, and I just moved these two images from here, and I moved them to the solution. I created a new folder in here. So I have to create it, right? So let's create a new folder in here, and now let's name it as images. So I've added a folder. Then with this, I'm going to say images. In that, let me also create one folder. I want to organize this very well and neat as well. I'm going to say this is background. So this background folder. Okay, so within the background folder, I'm going to copy the one that I shown you. I'll paste it in here, and that is an image. As you can see, is the same, isn't it? Good. So there's a background image. Now in here, you want to have a default, a general design for login and logout. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this style. I like using styles within components, okay? Okay, so I have this style in here. Now that is a body, so affecting the whole content here. And I set the background to the image in here. And I said no repeat. It shouldn't repeat itself. It should just stretch it to fit the entire page. Aside from that, I use this WebKit to make it as a cover, to cover the entire page neatly and now nicely and also beautifully. Okay, so that's what we are doing in here. Now we have a layout created, so we can peacefully close this. The next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to use this custom layout that we have created in the login and register component. So we go to solution, and now in our pages, we have an account. Pages, we have login. So here we have to use the layout that we created together, you and I. So on top here, let's paste what we have. That is the name, that is a layout, authentication layout. So this is a layout that we created, isn't it? So maybe in case it needs a reference, you can hit on control period or control plus dots and now add the reference in here. But this is supposed to be green, or is it light? Let's see, but I'm not seeing that. Let's try to close this and let's reopen it. At time, that's how this visual, so that's how it is. You need to do it again. So log in, and I have it in here. So control period. Let's check it out. Okay, so it is still not giving us access to that page. Let's see, maybe it is going to be here already, or what do you think? So using is it client? This is not, so there is a, I think, client or so. Want to check the namespace here. It is a client. We have this project is a client. We have layouts. And now we have this here, right? So maybe it is here. So client, let's check it out. If not, we have to build this and see. Whoa, it's not giving me. Let's save this. Let's run this and see first if it is working. If not, then we see the way forward. Okay, so I have it in here. Now this is what I have to do. I have to just close it and I'll open it with the stable version of the Visual Studio, not the preview. before I got this. So maybe if you're also having the same thing, then it's better you use that Visual Studio. But I'm sure you're not having the same issue as I'm having now. All right, so once we have this is what we're going to do. We want to divide these sessions into columns so we can have this login centered in the middle. Okay, so you know that we're going to use some Bootstrap classes, and the same thing as we've seen over here. We're going to have column LG5 and LG2 and also 5 again. So there's going to be 2 here. We want to have 5. So I can just make a copy of this. That is the easiest and the fastest way. So let me just close this up. Now this will be 5. So the whole thing must be 12. So 5 plus 2 making 7. I'm going to have 1 at the end here. So making 12. So when you do that, this is going to be in the middle. Okay, so 5 here, 5 here, 2 in the middle. That's fine. Okay, so once you have this, I want to use the div, and now this class that we have here, I want to apply some little bit CSS to it, having the opacity to 0.5 and small design. Okay, so you can see we have the BG dark, opacity is the half of it, so going to be a little bit blur. We have the margin top at 50% to just push it, and we have the radius as 10%. Is it 10%? 10 pixels? Yes, to just corner the edges together to have it in a rounded shape. Yes, the rounded style. We have the font width as bold, and the color here is white. Aside from that, maybe we can have no more please fill it login. Rather, you have simple login with maybe an F5 from the font size as 5, and that's what we want to have now. Okay, aside from that, maybe I want to add a campaign logo, but since I'm not having a campaign logo yet, I want to use the Netcode-Hub logo. Okay, so in that I have the logo stored somewhere. I just go in there and I make a copy of this, and after the card body, maybe I can just put it somewhere here before we can move on to what we are doing. So for me to center the image in the middle of the div or the content, maybe here where we have this card body, I can just put it somewhere here after the container, so it doesn't get involved in the card body section. And then here I'm using also a container, and I'm also making the division, as you can see, 4, 4, 4. Making 12, so I'm going to use the middle one, so making 4, the middle one is going to be 4 for the image, and I have a 4 for the last one, making 12 in here. And you know, I also have a folder called campaign logos, and have this, but I have not created that. So let's go in there and create it to the image. You say add a new folder, and now this is going to be campaign logo. Now let me show you the Netcode-Hub logo. If you don't know, let me show you. So that is the logo over here. As you can see, this is a logo. So maybe you can just rename this and now name it as Netcode. Yes, so let me grab this logo from this. I just have to go to campaign logo, right click on this, and now paste this here. So you can see the name is the same, netcode.jpg, and you can see that's the same thing in here. All right, so we have this beautiful done. When you run it, it's going to have it nice looking. Yeah, well, is it nice looking to you or to me? All right, so let's save this and let's try to, because we are going to navigate to this account and check it out. So let's click on this to see. All right, so the app is now loading. Now let's wait and check it out. Okay, so let's navigate to the login page, and now let's see. Yes, so this is what we want to do, or we wanted. Okay, so we have this, the login, and we have just an email and password in here, and we have just login. So passing everything, and now because we have this login button. So this was a small design in here for this, and that is the blur image that we use as a background. Okay, so now that we have this, maybe you can decide to resize this or increase the size of this or do a lot of stuff. You can customize it to suit what you want. Okay, but let's maintain this for the sake of this video. Okay, so we have the campaign logo as well, and that is this over here. You can just, so let me just reset this. Okay, so email, and we have our password, so we can just pass it down and log in. All right, so this, and let's have maybe a display down here to link the page to sign up or register. So where we have the card, you know, this is a card, this is a card, and now we have this is a header, and now this is the body is around here. So at the end of the body, we want to have card footer, and now we want to use, so we want to add the validation summary down here. We tell the user don't have account, then sign up. give a reference to the component, and that is it. So here, when you come here, we have to remove this validation summary. We want to have the summary on beneath, not on top of the page. Okay, so let's do same to the register component too. And now let's remove them from the home page. So we go to the same folder, that is the pages, account section, and register component, and let us also do save to this. So here too, we're going to make it as column MD5 and 2. Then you're going to make it as 5. So this is 5. And let's make it as 2. Okay, so now that we have this, we can just edit this. We can cut this and put inside this column LD2. We're going to have 5, 5, and now 2 in here. You can expand this and make it 3. Make sure the divisions must, when you add them together, you must have 12. So we have it here nicely. That is it one. Okay, let's also have same as the background, where we can have the validation summary beneath. So after the CRUD body, we want to have the CRUD footer as well. And we have the validation summary here. Here it is also linking to the sign-in. I hope you know that, and we've done this earlier on. Now let's remove this. As we did to the login, you have to do the same. So we're going to change this CRUD and also change the header as well. So from the CRUD, I just have to grab it from my resource here and just have to make a paste. So it's the same thing that we are doing. Okay, now the fill this form to register, we can just type in or register an account. Very simple one, no long talk. So very simple. Create this account to login. We also need to include the image as well, and in the CRUD body, we want to have an image section from the CRUD body. Maybe we can have an image section here, or maybe on top here we can also have the image section. Let's check where we pasted the login. So when you go to the login, we added it in here. From this, we have the CRUD header, and then between that's where we added it. So here too we can do same, not within the CRUD body, but before the CRUD body, we can also paste in this. Ctrl-KD, you can format it as well. And it is the same campaign logo that have been added in here. Okay, so this all that we need to also do from the register. Now let's also save this, and we have to include the layout as well. Do not forget, it's very important. So authentication layout, let's save this, and now let's run this again, and I'll check this out. All right, so we go to the same register, and now let's check it out. Okay, so this is very lean, isn't it? But well, if you want to make it like this, or you can extend it in case you want. So you can see if you want to extend it, that is very simple. We go here where you have this column MD, you can make it at 4. So 4, 4, 4 will be okay. So this is going to be 4 will be okay for this. And you can also make this as 4. So 4 for making 3, and that is it. Or you can make this as 2 or 3, etc. You can make this as, well, it depends on how you want it to be done. So you can save this, and I want to check it again unless you refresh this, because this is too lean. Yes, it's very, very lean. So let's see if we try to reload this. Let's check it out. All right, so I expanded it. I made it 4. In case this is okay for you, you can also do that. In case you want to have the sign up, this also, in case this also for you, it's okay. You can also do this, and now we move on. Okay, so that is the register section. We are done with this. So what you should do here is we go to the page, and I will try to remove it from that nav menu. So this can be done from the solution. You go to layouts, I think so, can be found in here, layout, and our nav menu. No, that is the main layout, I think so. Yeah, that's where it is. We can remove it from here because we don't need it anymore here. So what you can have here is the logout. So as soon as you get to the app, you can now log out from there. The next thing that you want to do here is when you check the page, if I click on register, I want to have some button spinner to tell the user that there's a process going on. So please do wait for us whilst you process your request. All right. So maybe let's try to do that. And in order to do that, we have to create a component to handle that. So quickly, let's close this. Let's go to solution. And in here, we go to pages. We can just create a one folder and I name it as other pages. So maybe all other pages, you're going to put them in here. So right click on pages. Now add a new folder to this, and I'll name it as other pages, or give it a name. You can decide not to follow what I'm doing. Okay, my rename is still going to make it. So let's make that button loading spinner. It's very long for you, isn't it? Now in that, it's just a bootstrap that we have in here, just a button with this processing, and that is it. Okay, so you can see it's a spinner and it is disabled. Okay, we save that. We go to the login, and that is where we need to include this. So maybe let's navigate to the register page that is near to us, and in here we can have a button or just a property to hold it, show loading button. Set this to false. So initially when the page loads, you want to set this to false. Okay, now aside from that, maybe you can override this button, the register button, that is this. So here I'll just copy this and I'll make it in this form. So if this is true, then show this button. So control period, we have to include the reference in here. So if this is true, then show this, else then show this one. Very simple one, using if else to switch between them. Now when it comes to the create async, that is if I click on the button, the first thing I'm going to do here is I want to show this, show busy button to true. So you're going to have that loader, and after every process is done, down here, I want to set show loading button to false. That's what I'm doing here. Let's go to the login to and do same. So there's a login page. Within the down here, I believe you can do that. So pause the video and try your hands on it. Let's see if you can do it. Okay, so once you have this, you come to the section where we're going to have the submit button. You're going to make the same changes, right? So login, let's include the namespace, and that is it. Okay, so if it is true, then show that. In case it is, then hide it. But how are you going to show it? We have to click on or set the value to this variable when the button is clicked. So if this is clicked on, show that. But in case everything is done, then please do not forget to close it up. Okay, with even here, it's going to navigate to a page, and now we set the false load to true. So I'm not sure this will even get to run this. As soon as it gets here, it's going to direct us to a new page. So here, that's what we have. Now, the next thing they're going to do here is, after adding this, do you want us to try this and see? Maybe. Let's give it a try. So we have not. Okay, so let's save this. Let's run the server first. So debug, start with the debugging. That is for the server. And as soon as this runs up, you're also going to run the client. So this is running. Let's also run the client as well. All right, so let's see, both are running. And now let's navigate to the identity, account, and now login. So we're going to navigate us to the page. Okay, so in here, if I click on login, let's see what happens here. So I'm going to click on this. Okay, so there's nothing happens. Why? Let's check it again. Email is okay, so there's not. Let's pass in the correct email in here. So maybe we can just do ex@gmail. Whoa, so let me make it again, gmail.com. Now if I click on login, yes, so we have it here. Now I'm processing, and now saying this is going to be you don't have this name or this email registered. Maybe there won't be a call, or what do you think? If I check this network and I click on this again, let's see. So login is being called up. Let's see the response from the server. Whoa, it tells you that, hey, user not found, and that's fine. So maybe we're going to have a mechanism to display the information to the user. But as soon as it finished the processing, you can see it turns back, and the spinner is off. We have the real button looking up to us. Okay, so this is working. When you check the sign up to, we can also do same. Let's see from net at mail.com. We have 123. This is creating a new account, and let's see. You want to have an account, an email which is already registered. All right, so we're gonna say it is user at example.com, I think so. So example.com, yes, that's fine. So let's see if I click on this Netcode, click on register, and I can see we have the same. When I check the response, it is telling you that user registered already. Yes, so it is also working. That's fine. So now let's go to the next one. So this is what we're going to do. Now we want to display the message to user. So we're going to use a sync component that is known as a SF dialog. So this dialog component is going to enable us to display a response to a user. Now let's install that component quickly. So let's close this up. Then we can navigate to Solution Explorer. Now from the client service section, dependencies, go to manage get packages. And in that, we are going to install syncfusion.blazor.popups. Let's install this. And I'm going to choose 23.1.6. You can choose the update one, okay? You can choose that. And now let me install this. Aside from that, maybe we can install buttons too. So buttons. And you have to make sure the versions are the same. So if I choose 23.1.36, the same version must be installed all packages. And now the next thing here is Teams. So we have to install Teams too. Now let me go in for the same version, 23.36, install this. Okay, so they are installed. Once you're done, we have to include the CSS and the JS file in the index.html. So click on that from the www folder, then you can see we find it in here. So in here, we have to install this. Later on, we're going to be installing Bootstrap because we don't use this old version. So maybe it's better that we do it now. What do you think? Yes, since we have here, let's do that now in as well. And let's do that. You go to the www folder. That is this one. Right click on it, and now let's add client side library. And in here, type in Bootstrap. We have Bootstrap. That is this 5.3.2. Click on install. Aside from that, we also need to install Bootstrap icon because we're going to be using icons in this too. So let's see. Once you have this, let's add the client-side library again. And now here we have Bootstrap. You're going to see the icons here. Also click and install the icons as well. And you can see they are installed, so we can now close this peacefully without having any issue. Once you're done, we have to also include the Bootstrap CSS and the JS and also the icon CSS link as well. So we go to the same index, index.html, click on it. And now once we are in here, let's add this Bootstrap. We have the Bootstrap CSS.min, we have the min.css, and also we have the icon.min.css because we have a default one, so we can remove this one. We have to also add maybe the bundle.js file, so let's also add it down or even here. Okay, so this is done. Now let's go to program.cs file and now let's register Syncfusion dialog service. So this is going to give us access to have this dialog by giving access to the show alert, show prompt, and all those guys. Okay, so let's add it. beta.services.add scope SF dialog service control period, and now we have to include a namespace from this. So you wait for the loading suggestions to be completed, then you're going to choose from what we want. So that is it. We need to use syncfusion.blazor.popups until we have this. We can now save this peacefully. Now the next to do here is we're going to include the provider into the main layout component. So in order to do that, we're making this as global, so we can be using it anywhere, anytime, right? even when we are asleep and you wake up, you want to use it, it has to be possible. It has to be available for us to use. We go to the main layout in here, and now down here, paste the component here as a SF dialog provider. Save that. Now let's go to the login. Now we have to inject things. We've registered it. It means we've created dependency injection, and we can use it in the login page. So on top here, inject it here peacefully without having any issue. SF dialog service control period. Maybe you can add the namespace, and that's fine. Down here, we can put it in here. So when you log in successfully, this is what you want to do. We can just create a base method where it's going to call this service for us. So we're going to use an alert. You pass in content and title. Then when you have it done successfully, when we log in, we want to tell the user that, hey, you are logging successfully. So passing the message that is coming from the API. In case it is not, then you want to make this as an alert. So this time around, we need an else statement. So since we have the if already, let's add the else, right? So we add the else here. Then call this method and now display. So instead of calling this method twice, we put in the method, then we just have to call the class, and that's all. Okay, we do same to the register to, and now let's check it out. So let me just go in there. Let me grab this. I'll grab the SF, this dialog service. Okay. So we go to the register component, and then in here we do same on top. So make sure you paste this, you include the namespace, control period, you add the pop-up. Okay, so now when you come down here, we are going to also do same. When it's successfully registered, this is what you want to do. We also copy the same method in here and now paste it at the base of the app. Maybe here will be fine for you and I. Aside from that, in case there's any error coming from the API or from the server, this is what you want to just display. Call this method and pass in the message. But in case it's working, then clear the content here and now display something beautifully to the user that is coming from the server. Okay, so do that quick. Okay, let's save this, and this is all that we need to do to use this component. Very simple. The easiest way to implement a dialog service is this, and also to use the inbuilt dialog element from the .NET 8 Blazor team. All right, so now let's run this again and now check what we have now. So we run the client and also we run the API as well. All right, so you can see from here that you have an error. Now when you check the inspect element, it is saying something. Let's check it out. Okay, so object reference not set to an instance, and also what again? All right, so sync phishing pop-up provider, there's no reset service. Okay, so let's go. I've seen the issue. You can see that here we added the main layout, we added the provider to this, but we did not, since the login and the register is using different layouts. It's better that we put in there, yes, to make it work. Let's write again, and it has no issue. It has nothing to tell us. It must work now. Yes, it must work. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. So it seems I was lying before. All right, so yeah, I do remember when you go to program.cs file, we have to also register Blazor itself. That's the sync phishing component itself, right? So it is builder.services.add sync fusion. I think so. Sync fusion. Where is it? Is it found here? So sync fusion Blazor, think so, control period, it has been included already, and that is the reason why it was giving us these errors. Now let's see, and for now, trust me, if I say trust me, do trust me. There's no issue again, okay? So no fear. Now let's wait for this to get ready and let's see what it has for us. Whoa, fantabulous. So you can see we have it in here and there's no issue anymore. So now let's navigate to the login and see, so identity account login, and as soon as we log in and it made success, we might see login succeeded or something like that. Okay, if I see any error too, let's see, so processing, let's wait and see. Oh, so alert user not found. And why are we having this pop up here instead of having it in front here? See where we're having it. Oh, so let's have a look quickly and I'll see where we pasted the, when you go to authentication layout, we added it in here. We have this is supposed to be, isn't it? All right, so I've seen the issue. I have to clear the browser history. So do same, click on history. If you're also facing the same issue as I'm having now, as I was having now, click on this, clear browser data, and I click on clear now, and I get it cleared. When you're done, come back again, run it, and I can see if I type in login, let's see, you can see user not found, fantabulous. Now let's pass in the correct name and see. So user at, is a user at example.com, and this is going to be a user. And now the password here, it is just string. So if you remember, processing, and now let's see, successful, that's fine. So you can see that is it. It is going on well, and the same thing. So try the registration, and it's still going to work. So this is what you want to do next. As soon as if I run this application, I don't want to get to the homepage like this. I want to go to the login, and I'll wait for a component to check up background to check up if I'm authenticated. Then it navigates us to this page. If not, then please go and register or go and log in. It sent us to the login page. Okay, so that component is going to authenticate. They're going to switch us between the home page and now the login for logging in and also as a login user. Let's have a look on that. So let's close this. And now in here, let's go to the solution. And from the solution, you can see we have home page here. Let's change this homepage name to authentication page. Now, within the authentication page, if you want to, since we have the reference already, we want to inject authentication state provider and also the nav manager. These two guys are coming from this we know already. This is also coming from the authentication state. So as soon as you log in, we can now have access to the user details. And now we are getting the user here, and now we checking if the user is authenticated. Then please go to the home and dashboard. In case we are not, go to the login. You can see we know this, but we don't know this, right? So let's create a component known as home page, and now the route must be a dashboard. So while we have this the pages folder, I click on this. Let's add a new folder. Now you see I'm going to say content pages, but it depends on you. If you want to have same, then you can name it content pages, and in that let's create a component as a home page, and that's going to be the home page for all authenticated users. Okay, so within this home page we can specify the route on top here, and that is a home/dashboard. So if you are logged in, come in here, but if you are not, then go to the place, go and log in, isn't it? Good. So now let's test this and see that this is a home page, and maybe I want us to have something here to display h1. And I will say this is home page. All right, now let's see. If I run this again, let's see what's going to happen. All right, so you can see that we are here. Now, since we are logged in, you can see we are inside the home page. Let's log out and see. Now I'm out. Now let's wait and see what's going to happen here. So it's going to navigate to the home page. Now, home page is going to check, is this person registered? No. Then please go and register or go and log in. Now we are in here. Click on sign out, and now we are in here. Now, if I decide to go to see home/dashboard, let's see home. Okay, so this is wrongly spelled. Home/dashboard. Now let's check it up and wait and see what's going to happen. Okay, so we are in here, right? But when you log out and now you want to navigate, you can't go there. But when you pass in the route, it means it becomes passable. How do you handle this? So if you specify the route in the address bar and try to navigate whilst you're not logged in, you can see how I guess whilst you're not logged in, then we want to navigate you back. Okay, so back to the sender. That is what you want to do. So quickly, let's go to the same home page again. So let's minimize this. Now with the same home page, let's create a method in here. When the page initializes, we're going to call this method. Now, what is this method going to do? It's going to check if the user is authenticated or not. Then, after that, second, if you're not authenticated, then go to the login. Very simple one. So that's what it's going to do. Now, also, let's check from the login. So maybe this is what you're going to do with the login. We check if you're authenticated. Then, please, when try to access the login page, navigate the person to the home page because the person is already authenticated. And we don't want anybody who is authenticated to also access the login page again. Okay, So we have to also do same. We're going to copy the same code. You go to the login, and I'll do same to the register as well. Now, when the page loads up in the initialize async, we cascade this, and we want to call the same method in here. Now, this method, what we're going to do here is, all that we need to do is to change the route name to dashboard when you're logging. We can do same to the, let's see, we can do same to the register as well. So register page, we can just have this method in here, and now we go to the login and I make a copy of this very fast and quick, because I know you know this already. So you have to also, you are running like a horse. So you go to the same register page, and now in here, when you try to access this page as authenticated user, it tells you you're not allowed to do this. So please go back to the dashboard. Very simple and fine. Let's try this out. So the page is now ready. As you can see, it is now loading. So let's it is loading, and it is the home page that is, so it is authenticating us. No, we are not logged in. So you can see we are in here. If I try to access the dashboard, let's see. So this is going to be what is a home dashboard. Now let's see what's going to happen. Oh, beautiful. You see? So when you try to access it, and this was giving us. Now let's log in and see. So if I click on login processing, let's wait. Okay, fine. So I'm logged in. Now let's see. So it's navigating us to the home page. Now hi string, that's the name that I use. Hi string, string, that's me. Now let's see. So here we want to also navigate to the login. Now I'm going to say identity slash account slash login. Now let's see. I want to log in. It was I'm authenticated user. I want to still log in. Is it possible? Okay, so this. Okay, so because we added home shouldn't be there. So identity, account, and login. And now let's see the outcome of this. Oh, fantastic. So you can see we are still inside the dashboard. So it has navigated back to the dashboard. So this page is protected. Both the login and now the home page, they are protected. That's fine. So in here, we are going to include a nav bar here. Now you can see this is the home page. So we have to use the main layout page. You can see this is not giving us the nav menu, right? So we go to the page itself, and that's the home page here. And we have to use the main layout, isn't it? Because this is the home page itself, and we have to include the layout in here. Let's check the other pages. From the login, we are using a page. There's a layout page. So from the home page, we have to also use layout. Then there's going to be the main page. So main layout. Now let's run this again, and now let's see if we're going to have the nav bar. Because when you check the main layout, you can see we have this nav bar here waiting for us. Okay, so you must have that too in that page. All right, so we have the pages in here. We have our home, we have our counter, and our weather forecast, and are working. Yeah, so let's close this. We have error because our token has expired. So when we check this section, you can see it is 401. Where is it? 401. Try to fetch error. Maybe our server is also down. We have not run it. All right, so that's not what we're talking about. So let's create our page. Now, the home page that we have, you want to actually have some design section here for the admin, and also an user can also, admin can add users or add general categories based on the instruction that I got. So let's start to work on that as well. So let's create a folder for as an admin. So we go to the pages in here. From the client section, because we have our pages folder, we right click, and then we also add another page here. There's another folder. Okay, let me close this up first. And now with this folder, we are going to name it as administration pages. So all administration pages, that's where we're going to put them in. The first thing we're going to have here is, let's create a table banner. Now the table banner, if I shown you the, no, I don't want to show you now. So the instruction that I got, you can see we have sections, we have vacation, we have other tables as well. Vacation, I think vacation, we have doctor table, yeah, another table. So let's quickly do that. To a tab, which is going to be displayed as soon as the page loads up, the home page. in that, I want to create just a simple 4 or 5 tables in here. And now the first table, you can see we're using container flow, so we can spread it across the entire page. We have a row, and you can see we're using 2, 2, 2, 2, so making there are 6, making 12, and that's for a full page. So we have the employees, the number of employees, we're going to display there, the number of vacations that we have in there, we're going to put them there. Over time to doctors table, sanctions, and a department. So all these tables are going to be on front of the application. As soon as you log in, you're going to see the count of these people who have be added to that specific table. Okay, so once you have this, we go to the home page, and a very simple, we are going to use this in there. So we go to the home page, and where is it? This one. So that's our home page, and let's use this table banner. Control period, we have to include the namespace for this. And this can be found in administration pages. So let's say it can be found here in the client.pages.content pages.administration pages, I think so. So administration pages, and that is this one. So let's see. It's still giving us error. Let's check it out. So content pages. Okay, so this is not content pages. This is rather administration pages. Okay, and we have pages. Then we have our administration page. Then we have our table banner. I think so. Let's control period. Let's save this, and I'm going to close this. At time this, what you just will be doing. Yes, so maybe I haven't saved that. Let's check it again. And now, yeah, it is soft now. Okay. So when you run this, what you're going to have. Aside from that, we want to create the home page that we have. When you run this, let's see, we're going to have these boxes. They are just the boxes that we have created. You're going to have them displayed in there. And aside from this, we want to add a logo that's a profile. So that specific person that we are calling or has login, we can include the profile picture in there. We can also update the profile of that person. Okay, so let's have a look on that too once this finished running. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. You can see we have the employees, we have vacation, overtime, doctors, sanctions, and our department. So this is going to be a banner which is going to display the quantity that we have in that specific table. Okay, now you can see these icons that's a bootstrap icon that we installed. So how did I add them? That's a question. When you go to the table, where is it? That's a table banner, solution, administration, and now when you check this table banner, you can see it is just an that's one icon, BI for people. So if you want to know a lot of these icons, that's a bootstrap icon. Search on for it on the internet, and you're going to have a lot of icons. You can be adding them based on what you are looking up for. Okay. So once you have this, when we check the page in now, we have this dashboard in here, and you can see we have this logger, but you want to actually add the person information, or that's the person image or something like that. Okay, so defaultly we have not added that yet. We're going to do that later on, but we can add maybe a default image. As soon as the person hasn't added any image, you want to display that. And remember that in here, I added an image here that is known as default profile image here. So when you check the images campaign logo, that is this one. And when you check my photos, the one I shown you, you can see that you have this image. That's the default one. So this one I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and in that I need to create maybe a folder as profile inside this images folder. So let me stop this first. Yes, and this must be profile. So let me add this as profile. And let me paste this here. So paste this. So we have the image in here. Okay. So that's what you're going to use as soon as the person creates it, or the person doesn't have an image, that you don't have an employee image, we're going to display that. So how do you implement this? Let's create a simple component to handle that. Okay, so we go to, that's going to be under other pages. Let's add a eraser component, and maybe you can make it as profile drop down. because the reason why I named this is when you have that drop down, that's you're going to have logout and also update employee profile. So you can just change the name or do a lot of stuff with this. Now in here, what can we create or what can we add to this component? So we can add just a split button from Bootstrap. And as you can see, it is just a split button copied from Bootstrap. So if you want to check Bootstrap docs, you're going to have this split button. So you can see we have here. And now what is what I'm doing? This is just a button group and I'm having an image here. I having profile image is if it's equal to null, then I want to display the default image. So here I have the weight as 30 and the height is also 30. Aside from that, you see I have this a button that I'm using and it's just a drop down toggle split. So that is this one. Check the Bootstrap docs and you're going to find some in there. If you don't know how to get it, I'll put maybe the link at the description. You can just click on it and I'll grab the link in from the Bootstrap docs. Okay. And then here we are having just a profile and also logout. So I have two buttons, update profile and also just logout. Now, if I click on this logout, this method is going to get fired. Let me close this and open it again. So I do not have this black and white. That's the old style. All right. So let me open it again. And I'm thinking I'm going to have the correct one. Yes. So logout, clicked, and that is it. You can see we are injecting this custom auth state provider. That's what we created in the second video. And now we want to check update authentication state. We pass in an empty model. And now we're going to navigate to the login and replace it with force load the same page as well. All right. So that's what we are doing for this. It's on the page load. You're going to have the image displayed beside, whereby if I click on the drop down, I'm going to have the two menus in there for logout and also for profile. For now, we're going to work on this later on, but this is working already. So we can just run this and check it out. But before that, we have to include this in the home page. Now, I believe this should be, yeah, that's the home page. I think so. So let's go to the main layouts, and where we have this logout, we are going to remove everything from here, or maybe send is going to be something we're going to be using. We navigate to, we can even we can remove everything and now paste it here. Okay, so this is the profile drop down control period. We can include the namespace in here. Okay, and also maybe here we can include the add attribute. This attribute, and now this is going to be an authorized. So it means that before you have access to this, you must be an authenticated user. Yeah, so we have to do that. And you have to include the namespace for this. Let's see, control period. Yeah, so let's include the namespace in here. That's fine. All right, so you can run this and see. Beautifully. So you can see we have the image in here, and that is if I click on this, I have this drop down. So logout and now profile. You see, so if I click on this logout, I'm logged out, and as you can see, it is directing us to the login page. So we have to log in again, and now yes, so that is this. Click on login again, and now we wait, and it's going to authenticate us to the same page, right? So I believe the server is down. We are not running the server. That is the reason why. So fail to fetch. I have not run the server yet, so yes, fail to fetch. So there is no problem, just that the server is down. Okay, so we can handle the try catch here to handle this exception that's given us when it fails to check. But maybe later on we're going to do that. All right, so once we have this implemented, let's see what we're going to do next is when you check our home page, we need to have a site. You can see we are having this nav bar from a default one, and in here we want to have some buttons in there. Okay, so how do we get those buttons? Let's see how to work on that. So let me close this, and now let's navigate to the nav menu. So there's a nav menu here. So this is what we have for this. When the page, we want to change this, and I'll make it as maybe welcome, or yeah, welcome will be okay. All right, so if you authorize, you want to use welcome to welcome you. Yes, welcome you, and that is it, what we want to do. So this is coming from the toggle. Okay, so let me replace all the stuff in here with the simple one. We're using this authorized attribute, and as soon as you log in, we can just have the name and welcome you. So maybe at the end here, we can have this authorized. So this is an authorized, and the last and we're going to have an authorized route view. Okay, so aside from this, we are going to have some buttons in there. Okay, so with these buttons, I'm going to, it is a button that we are going to, the same button from this. So, you know, here, that's what I'm going to do. Let me just copy this and I replace this with the new one that we have. It is the same thing, just I made a copy and paste. And as you can see from here, let me close this and open this again. Don't run yet. So nav menu, Control KD, format it well. Okay, so why are you having a problem here? Let's see. Okay, it's because you have not implemented this. So you can see the same thing. You have the same nav, and I'm making a copy of this one. This is a 2, and now 3. Now with this 3, we are having this administration. Now the 4th one, we are having departments. So you want to add the administration, and in administration, we want to add user. So I want to just do click to hide, and I'll click to display. Okay. So as you can see, I'm adding a CSS style of visibility to this as hidden and also visible depending on the state of the variable that you're going to create to handle that. We do the same thing to this navbar too for the department margin. And here, we're going to push it upwards a little bit. And so as you know, when you see margin top, you know it is pushing it up, isn't it? Yes, so that's what we are doing. And there's also a nav link. If I click on this, you're going to also push this up and to do that. And here too, we just have a general, that's a general department. We have department itself and we have a branch. So we're going to be adding department, general department. You can be adding the department itself, and we can also be adding branch. So before a user can create, or you can create an employee, you must have general department, you must have department itself, and you must have branch as a cascaded drop down before you can have access to create a new employee. Okay. Now, when it comes to the code section, what are we doing here? This is very simple. We are going to create 2 properties here to handle the department itself. Department margin we set to 3.5 rem, and you can see we have the CSS style as hidden. So defaultly, when I run this application, this CSS style here, this is hidden. This is not going to be shown. If I click on this, I want to show this. Okay, so I have also show high to false, and that is this. So I don't want to show this, get it hidden. So if I click on this, if I click on that button, I want to show this. Because see, I said this show is equal to the opposite of this. So initially this is false, the opposite is going to be true, and if true, then add this and now do that. Okay, so this, in case it is false, then do it. So you want to just move it up and move it down. When I run this, you're going to understand this better based on what you are going to see. Okay, and also the next thing is you're going to also have departments. So if I click on department, I want to also expand the department itself. Hide this default is hidden, and if I click on show, you can see I'm setting this to the opposite. So the same thing that we are doing from here, set it to the opposite of each other, and we check if it is true, then set it to visible, else meaning it is false, then set this to hidden. So that's what we are doing in here. Okay, so if I save this, we have this general department clicked, meaning there's a button here. If I click on this general department, meaning I want to create this general department. So in case of that, what am I going to do? Maybe with this, we can pause this for now. Let me just remove this one. Let's save this, and now let's run this application and see. Okay. So we need to rebuild this. So I think we have to run the server because we are not logged in. So let's run the server first. Okay, so I think let's try to log in and see if the server is active. Yeah, the server is not, it is still running. Let's see. So let me just do it again from here. Right click on the server debug, and now, okay, so it's still running as you can see from here. So let's wait. All right, so the server is now active. Now let's refresh it so we can try again. So reload this page. And let's see. So let's log in again and see. All right, so you can see login successful. Now let's click on OK. And we are going to authenticate it. So when we get there, let's see the nav bar that I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see this is what we have. If I click on this administrator, this should move down, and that is going to add some CSS style to it as margin negative 3.5. Now let's see, you can see that's gone down, and now this has popped up. Have you seen here? And we're using margin left of -5 rem to push it over here. If I click on it again, you can see it's off, and now this push back to negative. That is 0, not -0, because you don't have -0, isn't it? That is 0. So if I click on this too, this also get popped up. General, department, and our branch. All these are icons from the Bootstrap icons, and that's what I added. All right, so if I click on this general, what I'm going to do, that is where we have to add an event up to display a section where we can add maybe general department, okay? Because here it is going to be by administrator section, or any person that administrator gives him or her the ability to work here, meaning that person is registered as a user or as a manager. And that will happen if and only the admin gives that person that role. Okay, we're going to do that as well. So here, if I click on general items, I want to add a general department. Okay, so we must have maybe a box so we can add, and I'll save the database, and I'll make a query, get them, and now we can now add employee, and I'll select this and do a lot of stuff with it. So let's see how to also work on that as well. So we go back to the page where we were, and this button, remember that here I clear some button from this drop down. That is this one. If I click on, so this is general department, this is user administrator department, and now here it is general department. Let's see this general department. So here you must have a button here for a click event to happen. This. Okay, so you see that you have it in here. Now if I click on this, what should happen? We have to write that event to this. So let's have a method definition to handle this. But you know one thing, this is, when you check this is just a layout, and now this is a page, a body page. So how can we get connection, or how can this page connect to this page? We have to use state containers with action events. Okay, so as soon as I click on this action gets invoked. When this action invoked and this page has been subscribed, then it's going to receive the message and now transform it and start using it. So that's what we need to do. So we have to create a folder again. This is going to be the last folder for this video. Okay, so let's create one folder. I know you are tired of folder. Okay, this is going to be the last one for this, trust me. So let's create one folder for this, and we can name this as application state. So let me just close this up. So all the links in there, the tabs in there that you're going to be clicking, general, department, and our branch. We have to also be creating the same state for each of them. Okay, so try to understand this, and when you get there, even when you're offline, you can even do it yourself. So let's say from the client, right click on this, let's add a new folder to this. And now this is going to be application states, because we're going to be adding more state to this. Now in this state, let's have department, this for department state. So let's create a class for this. Let's name this a department state. So in this state, we want to have, it's a class. You want to have few properties and one simple public method in this. We're using an action, and I will say this is general department action, so we can invoke this anytime that we want. we set this to a boolean, that's a show general department. So you want to show this and you want to hide it. So this is going to toggle between this general department that you're going to create. And we have the department event here. So if I click on this, you want to first reset all. Currently we have only one reset here, but when we start adding them, we have to reset all and I'll show the current one. So this is the current one. If I click on this, I want to invoke the general department. So show hide everything in case you have two or more, hide them, and I'll show only one of them that I want to display. After that, invoke this. So any page has to subscribe to this by using this disposable interface, using the public void dispose method, and now subscribing and also unsubscribing from this. And that's what that we need to do. Now, once you have this, let's go and register this first to create dependency injection so we can inject it and I use it a couple of times in all pages. So go to program.ts file. And now in that, we have to register this beautifully in here. So let me create a var space here for this and for you. So I can just paste this. Now control period, let's include the namespace for the department state. It is coming from, it's even there already. It has seen it already. So that is it. Now let's go to, no, we don't want to run it now. The nav manager. So where the nav is, that is the nav menu. And in here, we are going to call this, we are not going to pass in any value. We are just clicking on this to invoke the method in here. So we have to inject this on top. So let's inject this here. So we're injecting the interface. So let's say this is an interface. We inject it here. So we can have access to that method control period. And this has to come from application state. And in that, we are calling this method. So, when you call this method, what's going to happen? Check this. When you call this method, you want to set this to what? To true. Defaultly, this is an undetermined. So when you set this to true, it means the state here has changed and we have to notify any component which is going to subscribe to this. So which component is going to subscribe? And that's going to be the home page, right? So let's navigate to that. But before that, we have to create the last component. That's going to be the general page, general department page. So I told you that you're going to create a last folder, right? And trust me, this is the last one. Okay, so pages here, and let's add the last folder to this. And this is going to be department pages. So all departments are going to come here. And now in that, we are going to create a department page. So department pages, right click, let's add a component, and there's going to be department, general department page. This is only for general department. So in that, we have to implement the disposable from the interface. So you can see we add it in here. Aside from that, we inject the space, the namespace or the container that we created earlier on. We add them here. And in that, we can include, so let's say I have just a simple here that I want to copy and paste it. So let me here. We are just using the table. So this table, we are yet to format this table. I just copied this from the Bootstrap and I just pasted it. So it's a Bootstrap table that you can see from here. Let's save this. Okay, so let me also save this. Now let me open this again so I can have it in a colored form. So we have department state.show general department. This is going to render either true or false. If it is true, then it's going to show. If it is false, this is going to get hidden. Okay, aside from that, we have a button, and this button is known as what? Add department. So it's an add department button that we are showing on top of the table. So down here, we want to include, let's create a department here. Well, there is going to be departments from the code section. So department, general department DTO, we have not created this department DTO yet. Okay, we're going to create it soon. Aside from that, when the page initializes, we have to subscribe to this page. That is the general department action from the state service that we created, state container, Control KD. And when the page is about to dispose, we also have to dispose it as well. So we also dispose it. That's why we are subtracting. So it is plus and subtract, plus and minus. We subtract it and also we add that. All right, the next thing here is we need to create our DTO. That's the general department DTO. We have the DTO entity already. So when you check our base library, you can see we have this entity, and that's a general department. We don't want to touch this because these are for the database sake. We want to create our own DTO. So let's create it in there as general department DTO. So let's see, but before that, maybe we can also create our base department DTO, because all of the departments are going to inherit from this, and this is going to be a class. So let's have a look at this as base department DTO. And in that, we want to have just only two properties. So when you check the entity, it has this relationship, but for now, since we are adding, we don't want to retrieve any relationship, so we add the required ones, what we need. So that's the reason why we have to use the DTO to transfer. When you check the previous one, let me show you this. Let me remove all this from here. Save this. When you check this base entity, you can see it has a relationship here. And when we are adding department, we don't want to add employee. No, we want to add department when adding, or when we want to add department if and only when we are adding employee. But when we are adding department, we don't want to add employee. So we need not to include this. But if you don't include this here in the database relationship, you're not going to retrieve department or employees which have a specific department. But in the DTO, we can skip that. So this is going to be the base DTO. Let's go in there and create our general DTO for that. And you know what it's going to do? The general DTO is going to inherit from this base. That's going to be the inheritance, and that is all. So we don't need to specify any property again. Just make it as inheritance to, let's inherit from the base. So base department DTO, and that is all. So make it as public so we can have the method in there. Okay, so save this. Now let's go back to the general department component, and that is this. So we say this already solved. Okay, so what is the next thing to do? Once you have this instance created, we want to add a dialog component so we can be adding this department. Okay, so remember that we've installed syncfusion.popup and also the button, so we can have a dialog from those packages that we installed. So quickly, let's go in there and create a component in here, and this is the last one. Trust me, if I say last, trust me, it's the last one. And from here, from the department pages, let's add one component in here, and this is going to be general department dialog. So for this general department dialog, we are going to have just a syncfusion component. So first, let's include the namespace from the syncfusion. This is going to be the namespace because we are using the button, the pop-up, and the dialog service from the syncfusion. Aside from that, we want to use this SF dialog, and this is going to be the SF dialog from syncfusion. I just copied from the syncfusion documentation. So we have this. Let me close this. I hate this tab, and open this again. Well, let's see. Okay, yes. So it's our one. We have the bind visibility. We set it visible. So we're going to create a variable to handle that. There's a width. We have the close button. So maybe we can set this width to 300 or 350 depending on what you want to add. 350 is okay. This is an event. So open dialog. We have show close event. No, this is an icon, not event. And here we have add department. So we have an edit form, simple edit form with just one property in here as what? Name. Then we have a button as submit as a dialog event button. Okay, so let's handle this. This must be a parameter coming in from the page, main page, from the home page. Aside from that, when that's what you're using to retrieve it in here, then we are going to, if I click on open dialog, what am I going to do? There's a method. If I click on this, I want to show the dialog. So that's going to be the event. So open dialog and set this visible to true. Where from this is visible, we have not created that. And that is what I'm going to create next. That is visible to false initially. So the page is, the dialog component is down. As soon as I set to true, it's going to be up. Then add the state has changed because the state of this has changed. And I need to reload the page to get this dialog box up. Aside from that, if I click on save, that is a save button. What do I want to do? That is why we call the database service to handle that. But first, we're going to check. If it is null, then return this. Tell the user that it needs to provide department name. It's an alert type. Okay, so passing the content and on the title. Okay, so this is all that we need to do. Maybe later on, we're going to talk about getting the database service. Okay, so also we're going to continue with this. All that we've done here, we have to include this dialog service in the general department component. So we go to general department.razor. In here, we have to include this, create a reference, and then we can now call the method in it. So down here, that is the general department.razor. Down here, we can use @ref attribute to call a method in it. So far as the method is a public type. So when you check this, you see this is a public type. Where is it? You see it's a public type. That's in the open dialog. So we can have access to this using this reference, the reference, okay? Reference and the reference. That's what we talk about. Okay, so we have to create an instance of this, and very simple one. We can just make a copy of the name here, then we reference it to this instance. Then if I click on open dialog, what am I going to do? Open dialog, where is it? There's an open dialog. So if I click on it, we have to while an event up to this. I want to call the method known as the open dialog in this component and now display it to the user. So get it open, and that's what I'm doing in here. So you see this general department dialog dot open dialog. Okay, and that is it. So in here, we can run this application and I'll let's see what you're going to have in now. Okay, so let's log in here. So succeeded. Now for this, the notification that you see in here, it is from Syncfusion. It means that you don't have a license key. So I have a video done on how to claim free community license key from Syncfusion and register it in the components so you can have this message removed. Okay, check this video description. I'll put it there so you can watch it and do it. All right, so once you have this, let's have a look. Now that's the department. If I click on that, I have this drop down. Now if I click on this general department, let's say I must have this pop up, but you see I'm not having it now. Yes, general, and they should call, but it is not. So let's figure this out quickly. So let's minimize this here. Now when you go to the nav menu, where is it? Can be found in the layouts. Open the layout nav menu. Now here we call this to invoke it. So it means when you go to the home page from this, it has to get notified from this home page. But we see we are not adding the general department component. So let's add it. You have to add it first. So let's add it here. Now this, do we need to add namespace to this? Yes, of course. So let's save this. Now let's run this again and see. Okay, so let's try this out. Department, general department, and that's it. Yeah, so we have it. So you can see we have this is the default one that we added, and this is not what we want. When you check the Bootstrap documentation, it's the same thing that you're going to see over there. Okay, so we're able to show this component in here. Now, if I click on this add department, you must have this. Yes, so you can see add name, and at the end of the day, we're going to have save. For now, there's nothing in it, as you can see. So if I click on save, I must have, you need to provide department name. And that is a SF dialog component that we are using from the same Syncfusion, and it is working perfectly. If I want to close this, click on this, and that is it. Fantastic. All right, so that is it for today. We're going to end here. We spent about almost getting to 1.5 hours, I think so. So we want to rest for now. And later we're going to talk about creating, because we're going to create department, general department, and branches, also town, and etc. So it's better we create a generic repository to handle all this. To handle all the CRUD operation, that is a create, read, update, and delete. You need not to create a repository for each. We can create a standard based one for all. And in case you have any exceptions, we can customize that in its own interface. I believe you're going to love that as well. So join me with the next video, whilst you also dive into that and we continue with this. If you like this, want to support me, you can just buy me coffee, hot one, you know, and I will love it so much to take it up. And check the video description, everything is there. You can just do it from the link provided in there. Click on this, the icon, thumbs up icon, okay, to like this video too if you haven't done that, and also subscribe to get more relevant information and also educative videos as well.